My name is Maritza Spot, and I am an 8th grader.
My name is Umang Sahi. I'm in 7th grade.
My name is Ethan Chirilla, and I'm in 8th grade.
My name is Ava Johnson, and I'm in 8th grade.
My name is Kyle Klock. I'm in 7th grade.
And my name is Luke Walker, and I'm in 7th grade.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to begin with the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence told the world why Americans wanted to free themselves from British rule. The Declaration stated the founders' beliefs about government. So using the Declaration as your source, in your own words, describe the principles of good government, where the founders got those ideas, and do you think those principles are still valid today? Begin.
A good government involves everyone being treated the same. It also involves your rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The Declaration said, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any government becomes abusive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and institute a new government." The founders got these ideas from John Locke, the Magna Carta, and the errors of the British government.
John Locke introduced the natural rights philosophy. It included the rights to life, liberty, and property. His exact words are, "All mankind being all equal and independent, no one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions." He believed in a state of nature and that the purpose of government was to protect the citizens' rights that would otherwise not be protected. He thought the people would feel insecure and would want a government and to be governed. The people would also have the right to change or get rid of government. This is why he suggested forming a social contract between the people and the government. We still go by those principles today.
The founders were also influenced by the Roman government. They adopted the following points. The citizens have the power to govern. Citizens entrust their power to the leaders they elect to represent them. And the leaders serve the people's interest rather than their own. This is called working for the common good. A large part of our Constitution is based on the common good of society. The founders saw many advantages to being government similar to the Romans. One of these advantages was having representatives make the laws because it is more efficient. They said that you have to understand every common law, and the representatives will be able to do that.
Good government should also include limited power of rulers, and these rulers, or government officials, obeying the laws themselves. These principles were gathered from a document created in 1215, the Magna Carta. The Magna Carta was the first document that limited the power of the monarch. Two major points influenced the founders. Government is based on a contract between rulers and people to be ruled, and both government and the governed must obey the law. These ideas were the first big step towards a constitutional government.
Another source that the founders used was the wrongdoings of the English government. Thomas Jefferson once said, "History, in general, only informs us of what bad government is." The colonists knew what they didn't like about Great Britain's monarchy, so they made sure it wouldn't happen in our U.S. Constitution. For example, they wanted to make laws, and practice their own religion. The king wouldn't let them have these freedoms in the United Kingdom, so they made sure that they would have them in the United States.
In our opinion, these principles are still valid today. They are an important aspect of all United States citizens' lives. They help make sure everyone is treated with equal respect, from the police, to the judges, to the teachers, to our neighbors, to our friends and family. They help make sure the government doesn't take away our individual rights as a citizen. The government would either control every aspect of our lives or let other people take away our rights without consequences. The care of human life and happiness, and not their destruction, is the first and only object of good government, said Thomas Jefferson. Thank you.
Since you brought up Thomas Jefferson stated laws should expire after a generation, or that every generation should have a revolution. Do you think the right of the people to revolt is relevant today? Why or why not?
I think that the right of people to revolt today is, I think that it is relevant, but also at the same time it is not. Because I don't think that laws should be updated, or I think that laws should be updated every once in a while as our technology and as our just the humans advance. But I don't think that we should have a complete revolution to change every generation. Because if you have 2 generations or 3 generations living at the same time, what kind of government are you going to have, and what kind of laws are you going to follow? And if so, which generation is going to follow what laws?
With the social issues today, are there any rights that you would add to the Declaration, which are freedoms today?
We don't think we should add anything to the Declaration because the Declaration had 4 important parts: the ideals, the complaints, the arguments, and the conclusion. It stated what we wanted in government and what our government wanted to be run by. It also stated why we didn't like the king and why we thought we were justified in breaking away. And that is truly what our Declaration of Independence is about. It is about breaking away from the king and not necessarily saying everything we wanted.
I would have to agree with Melissa because the Declaration of Independence was just a document that was created to break away from Britain, and it already had some natural rights such as all men are created equal, and the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
What if the members of a particular state disagree with the government that we have in place? They think it's a bad government. Would you agree with them being able to secede from the United States?
I don't agree with them being able to secede from the United States. We are called the United States for a reason. We have been 50 states, all 50 states for years and years. And I think if a state were to secede from our nation, then I think it would just cause chaos because it would influence and inspire other states to start seceding. And then I think eventually another war would come about that.
I would actually like to respectfully disagree with Avery because I think if in your state you get enough votes from the people saying we would like to secede, you should be able to secede.
In 2012, 20 states petitioned to secede because they didn't like what the government was doing. And so it's definitely possible that you should be able to secede. No doubt there would be troubles because of geographical situations. For example, if Texas were to secede, they would have problems with trade, and they would have problems because there's no waterway necessarily by them, that they would have problems to trade with other people and to get resources. And the United States is definitely not going to help them with that because they just seceded. And Mexico might not help them, so they would have problems becoming their own country.
To add on to my classmate Maritz's point, the state that succeeded would probably not have a military of some sort, because that is the job of the federal government to have a military, and that state does not have a federal government, so if they could be very easily invaded by other countries and be taken over again by either Mexico or the United States fairly easily.
Do you think the diversity, let's take Texas for example, contributes to the acceptance of the state and their beliefs, or is that a negative?
I think that the diversity of, for example, like you said, Texas, I think that no matter where you are, you're going to have to learn to accept different people of different races and ethnicity groups, because if you go to the grocery store, for example, and you're shopping for food and stuff like that, there's going to be different people of other races. And if you're just want to be around one race, then it's going to be pretty much very likely that there will always be somebody of another race around you, so you will over time just learn to deal with it.
In Texas especially, there's many people, immigrants that are coming over, and so you not only get influenced by them, but the people that were already living in Texas and anybody that might move to Texas. So it's not just you, it's you and all these different people, and you learn to accept what they believe in. And even if you might not fully realize that you learn from them, you do. And with every little thing you do, you pick up on something that somebody else does.
So what we learned from England back then and when we broke away, how do we apply that today in amnesty or in the issues that we have today? What have we learned? How do we make something new to solve our problems?
we've definitely learned a lot from England because we've realized that the government should be limited and that the citizens should have some power. And so today that's still important because we have our freedom of speech and freedom of religion and all of our First Amendment rights and all of our Bill of Rights actually that we've learned from England that we should have.
We have also learned that you should not have one person governing a whole country, that you should have many different people contributing to the government of the country, because if one person dictates a country, it makes the country sort of cater to the king or dictator's needs, not to the needs of the people. And I feel like we have learned that from living in Great Britain and moving over.
Time.
You guys did a great job, great demonstration of knowledge.
Your response,
Speaking.
yeah, formulation and responses were excellent. Very impressed.
Thank you very much for having us.
Sorry we lecture out.